we'll be following the same format as yesterday. So we'll start off with a meditation, and you'll be in groups probably for about 15 minutes today. And then we'll have a little bit of time at the end to see if there's anything any of you want to say or ask or whatever. So that's what we'll be up to. I'm wondering if I want to say anything before we meditate. No, I just lead. I say what I need to say while we're actually meditating. I want to see what happens there. Okay, so let's get yourselves comfortable. Maybe take a few slightly stronger breaths just to refresh the body. Just elongating the out breath a bit so you get this feeling of pushing out all the air from the body. So just do this to refresh the body a little bit before we start. Just allowing your breath to settle into whatever's natural for you. If possible, you should just breathe in and out through your nose unless you've got some physiological reason why that's difficult, a heavy cold or something. Go down to the diaphragm as we're beginning to notice our breath and just notice the movement in your diaphragm. You might want to just slightly exaggerate it for a few breaths just to get a feel of how the diaphragm is supporting the lungs and the heart there. Just get your belly moving a bit. Just let it settle to its natural movement. We want to get the feeling that we're using the whole of our lungs, even though we don't really need that much oxygen when we're meditating. We can still sort of have the feeling that we're using all of our lungs. Usually gets divided up into three parts, doesn't it? The lung, bottom, middle, and upper. And just get your sense of the breath just being a bit like a wave going through your body. Right now. It's a lovely, bright day here where I am. So I'm quite aware of the light from above, as it were, coming through the windows, and also just knowing that there's a clear blue sky above. Just whatever the sky is like where you are, just have a sense of the sky above you. I like to imagine that the skull, my skull, is slightly translucent, sort of some of the golden light sort of filter through the bone of the skull maybe particularly at the crown, slightly thinner bone, isn't it? Sense of that place where your skull was still open when you were born. Imagine the bone there being a little amber and translucent and kind of receptive to the light. Face relax. I was speaking this morning about finding a kind, tender voice, sort of internal voice when you meditate. So it's quite interesting just to be aware of the sort of quality of the internal voice. So if we're going to kind of ask our face if it wanted to soften and relax. Try and find a voice that's really encouraging for you. Not demanding, but just really supportive. Inviting your face if it wants to, see if it wants to soften a little. And have a sense of the nose being aligned with your navel. Recently, I've been kind of noticing how the kind of distance, if you have this kind of imaginary line between the navel, just below the navel and the nose, and going up to the nose. Just notice how that line kind of gently lengthens, probably on the in-breath. The chest rises gently, open. Ears over the shoulders, and the shoulders over the hips. The weight of the torso is going directly down through the pelvis, through the sitting bone, being taken by whatever it is you're sitting on, and then being transferred down through the building into the ground itself. Let's have a sense of what's beneath us, the floor, but then below that, the earth, of course, goes down many, many miles below us. Right at the center of the earth is this molten iron, fiery centers, right? Interesting to remember on the surface of the earth, of course, we've got all this light. In the center, we've got this metallic heat. So you just allow your breath to drop right down into the pelvic floor. So we're just being aware of that contact with the external world, that physical contact with the external world through the body, parts of the body in contact. Be aware of the feeling of the air on the skin of your body, the sounds around you, maybe the light coming through our closed eyelids. So this morning we started to place a bit more emphasis on the heart area. So we're going to continue with that this afternoon. Well, let's do it first by just using our imagination, a sort of playful imagination. Don't take it too seriously. Let's just imagine opening up what we sometimes call the central channel, kind of imaginal channel running from the root, perineum, through the core of the body, right up to the crown. Sometimes, in some traditions, imagined as a kind of blue light. But just see what it offers you, that idea. Sometimes imagined just in front of the spine, or sometimes imagined encompassing the spine. But of course, it's not a physical channel, it's a kind of energetic channel associated with what we'd call in Buddhism the Sambodhakaya, that's the body of bliss, the bliss body. Kind of occupies the middle place between the Rupakaya, which is our physical body, and the Dharmakaya, which is, well, not too easy to say what that is, but it's kind of more non-material sort of body, in this body of bliss, to which these ideas like the central channel occupy a kind of part of what Buddhism calls the Sambodhakaya, or the body of bliss, the kind of energetic body. Kind of mediates between the sort of absolute and the material. Use that sort of language. Running up. So just imagine this as we're breathing in now. As I say, we do it in quite a kind of playful way, not trying to force some experience. You might want to come into this through the back of the body. Which could be the back of our body, could be understood as the kind of less, how should I put it, known, yeah, more the unconscious association perhaps of what isn't seen. We come through the back. So we've got these three centers, so-called centers or chakras or wheels, whatever you want to call them. Below the heart, the root, the sexual center just above the root, the navel center, the heart. Heart's a kind of big wheel, a big complex nexus there of the lungs and the heart, occupying the middle ground, as it were, the midpoint. And above that, the throat, brow, crown. So three above, three below, and the heart center in the middle. Just gently releasing the head up towards the sky, dropping the pelvis and the legs down towards the earth. What we're trying to do really is just to imagine the heart sort of configurating the center or constellating the rest of the body, psychic, energetic body. Imagine the heart as the center, supported from underneath, and above by the other centers. Just let your imagination just sort of move with the breath a little bit. Just explore the body, using your physical breath as a way of staying embodied. So we don't go completely abstract. We stay with the sensation of the physical breathing. Gives this sort of thing its groundedness, if you like. We don't just go off on some kind of abstract fantasy. We're staying with the physicality of the experience, but then imagining kind of subtlety underneath that breath. Just see what you make of it. Just sort of run the awareness up and down through the core of your body as you breathe, just seeing how that settles into your breathing. Your awareness through the kind of core of your body from root to crown. Crown back to root. If that sort of settles into some pattern with your breath. Usually we imagine a kind of drawing up from the root and the in-breath. As we breathe in, a sense of energy perhaps moving up from the root. The heart center. Maybe on the out breath, we kind of release this from the heart center upwards. So just see what it does for you. There's no real right or wrong. We're just exploring how we experience our body as we breathe in and out. Kind of energetic, find the kind of physicality of breathing. and the face soft. You feel free to just let go of any imagining, just relax into the breath if that's what feels right for you. In a way, the energetics goes on anyway. You might or might not notice it. It doesn't really matter. When we place the heart at the center, of course, also placing love and compassion at the center of our practice. Try not to be bothered by your thoughts. Stay with the felt sense of your breathing body and any kind of energetic experience that it offers you. relax a little. Maybe stop trying to do anything and just rely on the posture, the alignment, the breath, relax. Whatever's there, even if you're a little uncomfortable or whatever, just see if you can relax into it. Soft animal of your body, as Mary says. What's there when you're not doing anything? What's there? In the heart area, perhaps. Like at the heart, at the center, real kind of psyche, self sort of opened up into the heart. Small self kind of dissolving, letting it drop down through the throat into the heart center. That's the molten center of our body. Just to gently sort of dissolve. Openness and love rather than clinging, anxiety, aversion. Release your legs, Right, just in your own time, bringing the practice to an end. So in a minute, you will be magically organized into groups, and we'll have 15 minutes. So just a chance for you to have a chat with a couple of other people on the retreat, and if there's anything you want to share with one another, just see what happens there. We'll come back together after 15 minutes and see if there's anything we want to share with the group.
So I will send you all to breakout groups. You will get a notice in there if you want to join. So if you decide to join, just press OK, and you will be, like Paramananda says, magically transported to your breakout group. And it's totally okay if you decide not to join. If you decide not to join, just dismiss that notice, and I will put you in the waiting room, and will accept you again into the session after those 15 minutes. I will, of course, tell you whenever it's about to run, when the 15 minutes are about to run. So hope you have very good groups. See you in a bit.
Ignition. We have liftoff. Or maybe not.
Here they come. Hello. Welcome back. Let's wait a few seconds while the remaining people finish the breakout groups. Only 5 more seconds to go.
Five. 5, 4.
Okay. Welcome back, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, so welcome back from your groups. So we've just got a bit of time now to see if there's anything going on with any of you that you want to share, or anything you want to ask, what we've been doing so far. So we'll just see.
May I?
Yes,
This is
please.
Achira City from San Francisco.
Oh, hello, Susie. How are you?
Nice to see you, dear friend. We miss you out here. Simply to note in my little group today, and I suspect my groups in other days, we would love to squeeze in maybe 5 more minutes in the breakout times, because they're becoming so valuable. Not that the other time is not, but it's pretty special to reflect together with people who we don't know about our experience on this remarkable retreat.
Oh, good. Well, it's nice to hear that. Thanks for saying that, because we were wondering how long to give you, so maybe we'll give you a bit longer.
Thank you.
Next in the future, yeah. I didn't want it to be too long, you know.
Sure.
And when you're sitting there not knowing what to say. But if it's lively, good.
Yeah, we came here to get your wisdom, not my wisdom or somebody else's wisdom.
Go get your own wisdom, mate. Yeah, good. That's lovely. Nice to hear from you. There are a few of you from San Francisco on this. Do you have any other San Francisco people?
There, I've seen a
Yeah,
few.
I'm here. BV is here. Barbara.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, so great to see you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the retreat. Yeah.
Pleasure.
Claudia from San Francisco is here too.
Hello there.
I
And-
think that Julia has a question
Okay.
or a remark.
I'm sorry, it's me again. Okay.
Oh, it's you again.
Yeah. Right. So I feel like your how you lead the meditation is so powerful, and I'm asking myself why, and I've come up with this reason, and it's based in the context of my training as a therapist and what I've learned about therapy. So it seems that you work a lot with images, and it's not really something that in the past I've found that easy, and I still don't actually. It's not really my natural form, I don't think. Anyway, the long and the short, you lead us in a way that you present these images, and I think what's happening is that the neural networks connecting to the brain and the memory of that image in our own experience is actually what makes it come alive so quickly, and it's what makes me think that that's why partly what you're delivering is so powerful, because you're knowing through doing that how to help us to connect into our body memory, which then brings us into that moment of the memory to actually kind of relive it and connect to all those sort of things that go with that. And obviously there's not time to discuss in great detail, but I don't know if that resonates at all with you or anyone else.
Mhm. I can tell you what I'm consciously doing, or usually what I'm doing if I'm leading the meditation, I'm just kind of feeding back what's going on for me, really. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing, really.
Well, I would relate to that and say that that's what I do when I lead, and because I've always worked with my body, I do think it helps people to kind of go in. But I think if people who lead meditations haven't necessarily got that really deep connection with their own body on the internal side, then they don't really know how to lead other people. And I think that's partly why it stays in the head a lot. And obviously, in a way, I'm saying the obvious, but I've been seeing all this stuff for 30 odd years, since I started meditating, and I was dancing, and I brought the meditation and the body work together. So absolutely, I think a good leader is someone who knows their insides inside out, and yeah.
Sounds a bit gruesome, doesn't it? Go inside out. Yeah, I mean, I came into meditation through Tai Chi, really. So I was into a lot of somatic sort of practices before I got involved with meditation. So I think my personal bias has always been towards this sort of somatic, really. And then I think at some point, I mean, the thing about certain images like the sky or the earth or these, they are archetypal, so they're quite likely to sort of work within the psyche in general. We all have some kind of relationship with the sky, don't we? Because it's above us all the time, and we all have some kind of relationship with the earth. And then the other. So I think the body. I don't think there's. I might not. It's a bit misleading, this image, yeah, because I think probably for you, and this is the same case as me, there's a certain translations going on, because actually what I'm experiencing is largely somatic, but that can sort of produce the image, but it's an image kind of from the body rather than an idea, if you see what I mean. obviously that we can't be too strict about that distinction, but I think that's what we're trying to work with. What is it that our own kind of imaginal body offers us?
Well, it's interesting what you're just saying there, because this whole point of, you know, the sensation, the image and the thought. And that was a question that I was nearly going to pose earlier today if there was an opportunity, because it seems that there's this profound connection between our sensation, our image and our thought. And I've been using that as a practice in my workshops. And there is definitely a connection, and it's absolutely fascinating when you get people moving and then you write a little bit about what those three things kind of show you, and then you see the link between it, and then you see the link over the day, over time, how there's a sort of thread that runs through. So yeah, and absolutely the somatic thing, definitely.
In that way, talking about it, the image kind of is, at least potentially, image is sort of midway between the two. I mean, it's
Between the thought and the sensation.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a sort of mid. The thought is kind of tertiary. The sensation is sort of primary, and the thought is like tertiary, and then between them two, the image in a way. That's one way of understanding.
There's another thing, you know, about, it's to do with the executive function. I don't know if people know about that, but it's the part of the brain that transmutes data and makes decisions about what we're going to do. And actually the body at that level, it works before the thought happens. So the body is actually acting before the thought arises. And, you know, how does that relate? Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very curious thing, the whole thought. I mean, they've found, haven't they, that it's kind of got a looping back mechanism to it. So the example that's usually given is that if you put your hand on something hot, the amount of time it would take you to have a conscious thought and then move your hand is far too long. You'd badly burn yourself. But what happens is that there's some kind of trick that your mind does, and it makes you experience it like you had a conscious thought about this thing being hot and moved your hand. But in fact, as you say, that didn't happen at all. The thought came after the movement. It's sort of looped back in our experiential, our kind of subjective experience is kind of looped back. Very strange. And I think this can be extended to a lot of what we do. The thought comes after the action. Yeah. But our experience is that we had a thought and made the action, but actually the action is prior to the thought. It's quite strange.
It kind of turns everything upside down in a way, doesn't it, in terms of maybe how we've perceived things previously, and this whole connection between the body and the mind and how that all works.
Yeah, yeah. Well, very interesting speaking to you, but we'll see if there's anybody else. If there's anyone else who's got anything to say. But thank you. That's very good to explore that a little bit.
I think that Dharma's Lara wants to participate.
Who's that?
It's Dharmaswara here, Paramananda in South
Hello.
London.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Hello there. Thank you very much for two things. Firstly, the reminder about resistance this morning, because that's just what I had been feeling, and had somehow managed to work through it. And somehow you naming that kind of gave me a lot of sense of support and encouragement. And then also this afternoon, it was a wonderful practice, and I found the experience of moving the blue light up from, from the base, as it were, to the sky, really fascinating. I'd never experienced that before, and I was very interested in the in-breath and the out-breath, but the two following in a sequence from the lowest to the highest, and started to experience different kind of energies in different chakras on the way up, particularly in the base. So, and the light itself, and experiencing it, you know, just inside the spine, as it were, it worked really quite powerfully for me. So thank you. I found the sequence really unusual.
I would play around with it a bit and see. It sounds like it might be quite useful for you. That's particularly if you can, you know, in a way, if you can really activate the root and let the energy rise up. Well, as a whole, you know, there's many energetic schools that I'm most recently I'm kind of probably more influenced by Taoist internal energetic practices than the sort of tantric. They're slightly different, but they still have this idea of activating what they call the lower water wheel, which is kind of between the root and a point somewhere between the Dantian and the root. Anyway, it's a bit hard to explain, but anyway, it's interesting if you know, just I would encourage all of you to feel sort of playful about this sort of thing and just see what works for you, you know. And I think different things kind of work at different times in a way. It's not that there's a fixed. I mean, all these things are just how people have found themselves imagining, isn't it, in a way, in the past, you know. People have felt these energetic channels, or these, you know, and found way of kind of moving the energy with the mind, if you like, or what, you know, starting to sort of understand how the energetic body kind of can be worked with. You know. Yeah. Well, that sounds very nice. Yeah. Mm.
Thank you. That's very helpful.
Chandra Maitri seemed to want to share something.
Hello, Paramandana. This is Chandra Maitri from Croydon.
Hello, Chandra Maitri.
Thank you very much for a wonderful retreat. It is so relaxing. But this morning, what I found interesting was your suggestion of breathing horizontally through the heart. And it really helped me opening up my heart.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, that's all I want to say.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you said that though, because it's such a simple little thing to do, and it's so effective, you know. Particularly if you feel a bit, the heart feels a bit numb or remote somehow, you know, just doing that breathing. Yeah.
Can I, is Rachel here? Can I add to that?
Yeah.
That was very powerful for me this morning. And as I lay here meditating, because I lay down to meditate, I had this cartoony, playful image come into my head of a needle and thread being passed from the back to the front and back to the front. And it was actually quite soothing and healing and helping hold a sore and tender heart together. It was just very soothing. So thank you.
Quite interesting, isn't it? Because it's a very I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm struck by it. That's a very craft image, isn't it? Yeah, sort of image of making, you know, this sort of taking care in a way, you know.
Yeah,
Oh, right. Yeah, Rachel, what you were saying, I was thinking, well, this morning, I was thinking about a loom all the time and weaving, going
Yeah.
backwards and forwards, you know? Yeah.
strength and stability and
Mm.
comfort and,
And,
creation. Yeah,
and creating.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're both really interesting images, aren't they?
Mm.
Sewing and working on loom, sort of making of something, or stitching something together. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I don't know why I'm reminded of in the Zen tradition, when you get ordained, you have to stitch all your robes, your own robes. Part of the tradition, you make your own robes. Hand stitching. Hand stitch.
I was darning my socks this morning and it was all the holes in my toes suddenly disappeared and strengthened up. It's very satisfying.
I quite like this because I mean, I haven't really talked about it in this way, but I quite like the idea of craft, what applied to meditation, you know, seeing meditation as a craft, you know, which is something that has to sort of become embodied, doesn't it? Be really good at a craft, whether it's, you know, using a loom or sewing or making pots or baskets, whatever it is, you know, it's one of these, you know, this idea of craft where something over much patient practice becomes embodied. You know. I quite like that sort of craft image. It's quite a nice way of thinking about how we can work in meditation, you know. Sometimes we just have to do things, particularly with the sort of breath in a way, you know. I just have to do it for years till it really start to kind of feel it in a fully embodied way. You know? But you know, we don't have to be in any rush in a way. It's a funny thing, isn't it? You know, even if, you know, of course our lives are finite, very finite in a way, but when it comes to something like meditation, there's no good in trying to hurry it, I don't think. There's something about the patient nature and the simplicity of this thing seems to have value to me, I must say.
I think we have a question now from Birita.
Oh, yes. Hi, Paramananda and everybody. I'm tuning in from Finland. And
Finland?
yeah, Turku, Finland. I actually, well, I've been really enjoying the whole retreat, and I felt your way of kind of guiding us. It's really, yeah, I feel taking me into depths. And well, yesterday you led meditation, which was really much based on, you know, lower part of the body and how is it called? Pelvis?
Pelvis, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, working in those areas. And that was actually really, really powerful for me. And I noticed there is a lot of tension going on. Like, you know, like every time I direct my awareness to there, I notice there is a tension usually. But what I was going to ask, I think you said something like the depths of our psyche is located to that area. So I don't know, can you say something more about it? Or I found that quite interesting.
It sounds a bit literal, doesn't it? But I don't know. I do think that the sort of more instinctual, if you want to put it that way, the more kind of our kind of animal vitality seems to be sort of associated, particularly with this kind of lower. Well, today we were talking in terms of chakras, weren't we? But the lower part of the body, and the sort of metaphor that I'm really basing what I do on is the idea that the body is a kind of vessel for the psyche. That I don't want people to take this too literally, you know. It's a way of imagining, isn't it? But anyway, if we accept that kind of metaphor as useful, that the body is a vessel which holds psyche, it's more just like we're saying spirit and matter are not actually separated, you know, that every living cell in our body also participates in what I'm calling psyche or soul, you know, and the less the parts that any part of our body which is sort of unconscious, you know, that we don't pay so much, maybe we don't pay much attention to it, or maybe, as is very, very common, there's a certain amount of holding in it, you know, and this is, as I say, this is particularly the case for the lower body, the sort of upper thighs and this what we call the psoas muscle, and around the anus, all around there tends to be in a lot of people quite a lot of holding. And it seems, according to a lot of modern body-based therapeutic techniques, it's very much associated with kind of holding them. I don't like this word trauma, but you know what, this word we tend to apply a lot now. Is trauma, you know, something's been, you know, something suppressed. There's some kind of holding in the body, and that's very often down there, downstairs, as it were, in the basement. You know, you can sort of think about your body as a house, you know. Down there's the kind of basement, you know, it's where you put things and they get forgotten, you know. Of course, you might have one of them upstairs, might you? A loft. Don't worry about that. But yeah, sort of the storage area where things get a bit cobwebby and forgotten, but still have a kind of influence, perhaps.
And I like the idea, or to connect with this animal kind of side of us. I think that really speaks to me.
I mean, I think it's so important, you know, because that's our basic vitality, you know, it's our basic life energy, you know. We really need it, you know. And I think what happens is that a lot of us stop trusting that part of ourselves, or maybe even don't feel like they have much access to that part of themselves. You know?
Can I just say there that, you know, when you said about the trauma, you don't like that word, but I think it does connect with exactly this topic. And I think what happens is that people have experiences and that those memories do get stored in the body. And that's partly then why people struggle to trust at that deep level, because they've had these challenging experiences, which have then caused their nervous system to be out of kilter. And then they're getting triggered or whatever. So broadly speaking, I think obviously, yeah, I absolutely agree that that kind of vitality and primitive energy and so on. And I think when we meditate and we're grounded and calm and all that stuff, and we're self-regulated well, then those energies are there and we can tap into that. But a lot of people do have difficult experiences that kind of get packed in there, and then it can be difficult to access that natural vitality. So obviously that's why meditation, all these body things are so powerful, because they help us to kind of reset our nervous system. So when you say as well about it being down in the belly, I agree with you, but again, it's all back up to the brain and the neuroscience and through the vagal nerve. I'm sure you're familiar with that, some of you, with the current science that's going on about the vagus nerve and how that transports information.
Yeah, I don't kind of disagree. My concern really is that my concern is if the only thing we associate with the body is trauma, because I'm saying that the body is a vessel of psyche, it's not just a vessel of trauma.
Nobody's saying it is just a vessel of trauma.
No, I'm not saying you're saying, but I'm trying to explain why I'm a bit tentative about using the word trauma. Because what I'm actually interested in people accessing, of course, is joy, not trauma. You might have to go, it's such a big subject, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But I think it's so key. I mean, all this stuff is so key and it's so current, and what's being discovered through science and everything. And I think, the more that we can access our bodies and come into relationship with whatever is there is the powerful way forward. And joy does get released, vitality, when we do that, when we enter that process, that dialogue with ourselves. And I'm sure we're all experiencing that, because we're here meditating and we know about that, so we understand that.
Good. I'm not. Why I am kind of aware of the basic sort of neurological theories, it's not really what I'm working with,
But how can you not work with it? Because it's part and parcel of the deal of the body.
Let me finish what I was saying, and I'll try and explain what I mean. My frame of reference is what I would call poetic. So while I'm sure the medical model, the sort of more medicalized model, is very valuable, it's not where I'm coming from, really. It's not quite how I imagine what I'm doing. So, there's lots of different ways of imagining, isn't there? The Greeks, for instance, the ancient Greeks that knew nothing about the brain science, neurology, were working with catharsis and, were working very deeply, as are many, many shamanic traditions. But
that's the whole point, I think.
Their frame of reference isn't from a kind of scientific point of view. It's much more poetic frame of reference.
But I think that's the whole point that's being kind of explored now is, I started dancing and everyone thinks dance is fluffy. And I was like, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. And I've kind of followed this path and I've proved for myself that dance isn't fluffy. It is scientific. But yes, there is spirit there as well. And I think they're so merged together. So I don't really see them as separate in a way. I appreciate you're looking through the lens of poeticness.
They're not separate, but every age, every historical age has a paradigm. Meditation started off, thousands of years ago, and it's not really based in a neurological paradigm.
No, but what they were doing is exactly being proved through neurological studies now. That's the whole point. The fact that they didn't realize that's what was going on partly is irrelevant in a way. That was just science at that point.
I don't want to get into a kind of this, because I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just trying to explain what's behind what I'm doing. I'm not questioning neurology. That's fine. I'm not.
I think that,
Yeah.
yeah, I think that we have already went past time.
Well-
Just to let you know, I know, Ursula, that you want to participate. Maybe if you can save your whatever you want to share or ask for tomorrow, it will be great. Just to remind everyone that we will also have a Q&A session on next Thursday, also to bring up more questions if you want. But for today, I think, or this session, we are about to finish. We will, of course, wanted to thank you, Paramananda, and also on behalf of the Buddhist Center Online. And we hope to see you in a few for the next session with Bodhilila today.
Part 7.
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you very much.
Right. Okay, guys. Bye. Have a nice rest of the afternoon and evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.